at entrepreneurship and leadership, I find myself merging the two together with the understanding that the definition of entrepreneurship is the representation of an opportunity, and the best opportunity is availability. And it's within the availability where I've come to learn that entrepreneurship is 80% mental, and entrepreneurship is also 20% profit and gain. And it's in the mental where I've discovered that there are 3 types of self, SELF. Self-concept, meaning what I believe about me. Self-esteem, meaning what I feel about me. And self-knowledge, what I know about me. What I know. And when I look at those 3 right there, I at the same time become completely persuaded that my entrepreneurship and my passion for developing and helping people comes to me as something natural as it relates to being a servant leader. And a servant leader is that person, male or female, that puts the interests of others before his own, which is one of the styles of leadership that I want to talk to you about today. The first style of leadership is transactional leadership. Transactional. So in transactional leadership, it's more about an exchange. It's an exchange. Some years ago, as it relates to real estate, it used to be a time when you can shake a person's hand and that consecrated a deal. Whereas in now, it's all about a fiduciary relationship. It's built on trust in that regard. So, transactional leadership, it's all about an exchange. Then we have charismatic leadership. That type of leadership is about grace, it's about personality. If somebody's going to be leading me, I certainly don't want them to be dry in spirit and in personality. I want to be able to have a conversation with them. I want to be able to laugh and that sort of thing. I want to be able to have some fun sometimes. Because if not, then I get the feeling that you're really micromanaging in that regard. And I want to be able to grow. I want to be able to grow. I want to be able to experience growth and development on a level where it brings value to my life, and in return it allows me to help somebody else. And then we have laissez-faire leadership. That's that type of leadership where nobody's in the room but the person who's leading, and he or she doesn't care about the development of the people that he has working for him or her. It's just a me, myself, and I kind of thing. And it's nothing else. Sort of reminds me of a micromanager where they're just constantly standing over top of you and they're making you feel like the most important thing is get the job done when the most important thing should be about the people. Because if you care about the people, then the task will take care of itself. Because most people don't care about what you know until you show them how much you care. And it's really in that pecking order. And then we have transformational leadership, which is all about change. It's all about change. And it's all about change that makes a person feel that their ability to change is something that they can value, whether it's in the present or the future. So transformational leadership is all about change. What am I going to do different today than I did yesterday? And there's a level of awareness that comes with transformational leadership that you must be able to lay your hands on. You must be able to lay your hands on. So thus far, before we get to the last style of leadership, we have transactional leadership, where we're talking about an exchange. All right? We have charismatic leadership, where that is that person with a personality that makes you feel good to come to work and work from 9 to 5. Then we have laissez-faire leadership, which is that leadership that's kind of pushy, micromanager. Everything has to be my way, and if it's not my way, it's the highway kind of thing, right? Then, of course, again, we have transformational leadership. And again, that style of leadership, it's all about change. It's all about evolving. It's all about, making something last forever through the word change. And then, of course, we have servant leadership. Servant leadership is that style of leadership where you put the interests of others above your own. And all of us in here have played some role as a servant leader, believe it or not. For those of us who have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whatever the case may be, if you have babysitted them in any kind of way, you put their interests before yours. All right? So you have servant leadership also brings you to a place where you can offer up what I call transparency. Transparency. In today's marketplace, people want transparency because people want to know that you're here. They want transparency. I can tell you that millennials in particular, they want transparency. When they go to look for a job, believe me when I tell you, they already know walking in the door that the days of working there for 30 years rather, are gone. I have two daughters, one 26 and one 27. And my youngest daughter said to me, she said, I would rather be broke than to go to work for somebody else and not know if I'm gonna have a job when I go back. She made that determination. She's 26 already. So it's in the servant leadership also where we come to a defining moment that gives us an opportunity to be who we are and to do what we want to do and to do what we want to do in that regard. So once again, we have 5 different styles of leadership that we need to be able to embrace as people, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, somewhere in the frame of those leadership styles, you had a relationship. Somewhere in that frame, you've had a relationship. Whether it's through transactional leadership, whether it's through charismatic leadership, laissez-faire leadership, transformational leadership, or servant leadership, you've had some relation in all 5 of those boats that are there. Some relation. And then it becomes a thing as it relates to entrepreneurship and leadership. What is the most important thing as it relates to those 5 to you? What is it that's most important with that? Is it family? Because once again, somewhere along those lines and those styles of leadership, you've been there. You have been there. So at the end of the day, what you have is you have the different styles of leadership, what they mean, and how you could possibly apply those styles of leadership to what you do every day, every single solitary day. You have that working for you in that regard. Any questions so far about anything regarding entrepreneurship, leadership, the different styles of leadership? Any questions whatsoever? No questions? No questions? All right. So, if there are no questions, let me do this. If I came and asked anyone in this class would they like to make $150,000 a year, what would you say? I see you hesitate. You would say, okay. You would say, of course. So now, if I told you that you are going to have to work 12 hours a day, including Saturday, so you're working from Monday till Saturday, 12 hours a day, would you still take it? Would you still take it? That's a decision that has to be thought about, huh?
Only because the thing with that is, there's a difference between, okay, I want to make $150,000 and I'm willing to do what it's going to take to make that $150,000 and what the sacrifices are going to be to take.
Gotcha.
But so that's the hesitation with me. Like, I mean, just because you want something, it may not necessarily just fit in your life at that moment.
Absolutely.
To make the decision that may not be the best decision.
Absolutely. But initially, when I said it, you said, yeah, I'll do that initially, with no consideration of what it was you were going to be doing, right? It took for me to come back in the exchange, transactional leadership, for you to say, well, no, let me think about this. Let me think about this before I make a decision. And a lot of times, that's what people do. You know, they'll jump into something without any real consideration of what my responsibility is. I'm just going to make $150,000, which tells me here once again that everybody in this room, based on her response, it tells me that everybody in this room has had some relation with that. That's what that tells me.
Well, the two questions, that question and your very first question about being an entrepreneur, the reason why I'm hesitant is because that question with being an entrepreneur, if you had asked me that 5-10 years ago, my answer would have been different. Things have changed in my life.
Sure.
But, my priorities are different now.
I got that.
And same thing with making $150,000. I mean, of course you would want to, but
yeah.
Then when you added that working 12 hours for 6 days, now I'm at a different place in my life. I don't want to work that hard. I want to work smart.
Excellent.
So
excellent.
None of that applies to me. I'm just in a different place.
You're in a different place.
Yeah.
Fine. You're in a different place. Even as you are in a different place, if in fact that right now today that you were given the keys to run your own company, would you do it? Even in that different mindset that you have, a different posture, a different expectation. Because here's the thing, here's why I say that. What I've come to learn, all of us have experiences in here right now. What I've come to learn is this. If I'm working for someone, that still doesn't guarantee that I'm gonna have a job when I go tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, with me, I've come to realize and to understand that one, my value supersedes what it is that they could ever ask me to do anyway, or pay me to do. Because for starters, the gift that I have, they can't afford to pay me for it anyway. They can't afford it. So, when I look in the mirror today, and I look at the value that I come to the table with, it's a value that says my worth is what I need to get paid for, and not be in a position where I'm exchanging dollars for hours, or hours for dollars in that regard. Though, at the same time, I know I still gotta live. But at some point, while I'm making you rich, I wanna be over here making me rich at the same time.
Or at least comfortable.
Comfortable, right? And I understand the comfort level. That's fine. That's all good. The comfort level is a wonderful place to be. But at the same time, how am I going to be able to grow if I'm always comfortable? But yet I'm not putting myself in a position to work outside that comfort zone. Because I believe that there's a hidden gift in everybody in this room, including myself. And that gift needs to be discovered. And there are times when it has to be discovered outside of the comfort zone that you're in. So, yes, I will walk in entrepreneurship, which I have been doing for about 17 years now, right? I'm going to walk in that, but at the same time, I'm also, even as I'm walking in it, going to look for another side of me, because I believe there's more to me than what I see.
Yes.
Just like I'm sure everybody in this room does. You believe that there's more to you than what you see, but at the same time, my question would be, okay, if you believe that, then why are you not operating in that? Because once again, the definition of an entrepreneur is the representation of an opportunity, and the best opportunity is availability.
Yep.
And it's in the availability where I've discovered that 80% of it is mental, and the other 20% is profit and gain. And it's in the mental where I've discovered that there's 3 types of self. Self-concept, what I believe about me. Self-esteem, what I feel about me. And self-knowledge, what I know about me. What I know. So these are all things that I associate myself with. And believe it or not, you associate yourselves with the same thing. Because at this point, you don't need nobody to tell you who you are. Not at this point. You don't need nobody to tell you how to feel. You don't. This is a thing now where I know this now. Because one, I've walked it, I've lived it, and it's a part of my everyday communication. So every style of leadership that we just got finished talking about is a part of your everyday communication. Like I said, if you have children, grandchildren, or cousins, nieces, or nephews, you have practiced servant leadership because you have put their interests above your own. You know, and many of us have been doing it and didn't even know we was doing it.
Some of us do that in our job.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. You're putting the interests of someone else above your own. You know, and which makes it that all of us have something in common. That's my point. Which makes it that all of us have something in common. We just may not respond to it the same way, but we all have something in common as it relates to that. For sure. You had a question, I'm sorry.
Well, that being said, when you said your self-worth, the answer to the question, would you take that $100,000 job, that would be no, because you feel as though your time, your energy, your effort is worth more than that.
Well, and it ain't nothing wrong with that. It ain't nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, she, in return, said, of course I would. But then she circled back around, which is smart, because she had some time to think about it. That's cool. She circled back around and she said, wait a minute, you asked me to do all that, but I got all this going on over here. So I may have to leave that opportunity on the table, which I can applaud and respect, because one thing that I know for sure, and one thing, and two things for certain, as a friend of mine would say, people, places, and things of interest have a way of coming back around to you 2 and 3 and 4 times. For sure. They have a way of doing that. And you could have an interest for something going as far back as when you was a child. And of course, you grew beyond that interest. That doesn't mean that that interest has died, because that interest can come right back around to you. And of course, you're mature enough, and I'm mature enough to be able to embrace it and accept it and receive it. Because I know I have a radio and talk show called the Life Enhancement Radio and Talk Show that airs on Heaven 600 every Saturday. When I was in college, my major was communications. And in the midst of the transfer from a community college to a 4-year university, be it Morgan State University, I actually changed my major from business administration to communication with an inspired hope of launching a career in the radio and TV industry. Thereafter, the transfer was complete. My aunt invited me out to lunch to, celebrate my success a little bit. And she told me that I was going to need something more than just book knowledge. I was going to need some hands-on experience. And thereafter that, I went down to Radio 1 on St. Paul Street. Yeah, downtown Baltimore. I went down to Radio 1 and filled out an application for a position as a board operator. The same day they called me in for an interview. The same day. So of course I'm feeling happy, I'm excited and all of that sort of thing. And they offered me the position. 2 weeks into the job, the same person who hired me told me, I'm gonna have to let you go.
What?
2 weeks into the job. 2 weeks into the job, he told me that. I'm about 19 years of age. So I went from feeling happy to feeling sad in 2 weeks. I go over to my aunt's job, and my aunt was very, very credible as an accountant who had an affiliation with a number of different attorneys. I go over to my aunt's job, and I'm sharing with her my experience and my disappointment in that. And of course, she hugged me up and, said, go out there and do it some more, that type of thing. And thereafter that next semester, when I went back to Morgan State University, I changed my major back to business administration. I changed it twice. I changed it back to business administration with an inspired hope of launching my own company. 16 to 17 years removed from Morgan State University.
I'm in a meeting with some partners, and they said, Leroy, you have this radio voice. You should go and start your own radio and talk show. And I sort of waved it off with no real consideration that I'd been down that road before. And sure enough, when I got home, I started thinking about it. And the more and more I thought about it, the excitement began to, rise, right? And the next day, I called Radio One, the same company that fired me. And I started this, giving my interest to them about wanting to host my own radio and talk show. And here, they invited me to come in for a meeting. I went for the meeting went well. They called me 2 days later, said we would like to offer you the show, come in and sign the contract. I go and sign the contract. I'm feeling good, right?
What happened 2 weeks later?
What happened 2 weeks later?
Yeah. They didn't let you go again, did they?
No, they didn't. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that you got to catch. They didn't let me go 2 weeks later. So 4 months into the position of doing my own radio and talk show, 4 months, Morgan State University called me and said, I would like for you to come in and do an audition to host your own radio and talk show.
Coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah, it's coming out the woodwork. Here, once again, people, places, and things have a tendency of coming back around to you. That's my point with it. So they called me and do the audition. I go do the audition. Audition went well. 2 or 3 weeks went by. Conversation, them telling me what they wanted and what I wanted. They decided to go in their own direction. I decided to go with mine. 2 weeks thereafter that, I was invited to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, iHeartMedia Group to do a profile of my company. Thereafter that, they invited me to do my own radio and talk show. The problem with that was they wanted me to relocate, and I wasn't willing to do that. So there was an opportunity left on the table. I would say about 3 or 4 months thereafter that, I went into Heaven 600, Reverend Lee Michaels. I went into Heaven 600 and to do a commercial of a men's conference that I do every year. And thereafter the commercial, what did they do? They offered me an opportunity to host my own radio and talk show. This is 4 consecutive times that the same thing came back around to me. 4 consecutive times. And most importantly, I'm in a position to be able to receive it. Availability.
Yeah.
Availability. I'm in a position to be able to receive it. So here today, I have a radio and talk show that airs on Heaven 600 every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. And all of this was just being in a position and available to receive it. That's it.
Did you take any of the other offers?
I did not.
Oh.
The one with Radio One,
Yeah.
I ended up taking that, and I stayed there long enough till this Heaven 600 thing came, because Heaven 600 offered me something that I just could not refuse.
But you signed a contract with Radio One.
I did.
Did you live out the
I lived out the contract, yeah. But at the same time, Heaven 600 made me an offer that I just simply could not refuse. And I mean, it was a good one. Just like yourself, they offered it. I said, yeah, then I thought about it. But it was good for me. It was good. It was real good. I'm talking about the kind of good that says good.
Are you still doing it?
I am. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. I'm on Heaven 600. Every single solitary Saturday.
That sounds like that was your calling.
That was my calling.
And if you refuse it, it comes in you with force.
With force. That's exactly right. That was my calling. I couldn't have ran from it even if I tried.
That's my mother told me.
Yeah. And I received. I couldn't have ran for that even if I tried. But I'm available. I'm available.
It's supposed to happen.
It was supposed to happen. Nobody could deny me. And then here was the thing. Here was the reason why the gentleman told me that he had to let me go the first time when I'm about 18 or 19 years of age. He said, because you have a ministry in you, you don't need to be here. He was a pastor of some kind. His name was Doug Cornish. But he looked me in my face and said unto me, Leroy, I have to let you go because you have a ministry and you don't need to be here. And at 18 and 19, I don't know what that is. What are you talking about? What does that mean?
No, you needed a job.
Yeah, I need a job. And I'm following the orders of my aunt, who had a level of influence over me, where she said, you're going to need more than book knowledge. You're going to need some hands-on experience with this.
I don't mean no harm. I think he felt a little threatened by you.
Perhaps he did.
That's why I let you go.
Yeah. And when I went back to Radio 1, it was funny because I asked certain people, hey, do you know this guy, Doug Cornish? Nobody knew him. So I don't even know where he is. But I was certainly going to pull him up and tell him, you did something. Back there when I was 18 or 19 years old, but you never explained it. And therein lies the problem. And then I found out after my grandparents passed away, my mother told me that my grandparents were talking this exact same type of language. Yeah, so it certainly turned out to be something that was made for me.
It was good for you.
It was good for me in that light.